In today's video I'm going to be reviewing this jean jacket. It's the Stacie Jean Jacket by Style, and this is in collaboration with Laura from the Specky Seamstress. So if that interests you, do stay tuned. Welcome back. If this is our first time meeting, my name's Claire, and on this channel I make videos about plus size dressmaking. I make them with the aim of helping to improve your confidence in garment sewing. So if that interests you, do hit the subscribe button below. A while ago, Laura from the Specky Seamstress and myself were having a bit of a chat about what pattern we could do in a collaboration. We've both bought the Stacie Jean Jacket from Style, so thought that would be a good pattern to do, so we went ahead and decided to make that. Now if you don't know Laura, she, as I say, she is over at the Specky Seamstress. I will link her details down below. Do go and have a watch of her channel. She's a really lovely girl. If you like my channel for my authenticity, then you'll like Laura as well. Laura is a fellow curvy girl, and her channel is really inspirational. She's been doing a lot of videos about sewing underwear, and I think she has the same ethos as me, and that is to help encourage others in their confidence around sewing. So after you've watched my video, do head over to her channel and give her some love and let her know that I sent you. She's made up a few different Stacies at this stage, so you'll be able to see what she's made, and she'll give you her thoughts as well. So a little bit about Style, if you haven't sewn their patterns. They're an Australian company. They've been around for some time. I'm not quite sure how long, but they have been around for quite a while. They have a massive catalogue of patterns at this stage. Now they've been known for offering one size patterns, where you choose one size and they'll send you that size, but they'll also send you a size below and a size above it, just in case you need to grade your pattern. Now that wasn't very favoured by a lot of people, myself included, and they are now doing multi-size patterns, which is fantastic news. And actually the Stacie Jean Jacket, which I have a paper pattern of, is a multi-size pattern, and that is fantastic. Because not only if you fluctuate in size you can still make the pattern, but also you could make it for other family members as well if you really wanted to. As you'll come to realise in the course of this review, Style are not really a beginner sewing pattern. You will want to have some sewing under your belt before you attempt their patterns, and that is because their instructions are fairly sparse. But with that said, there are lots of resources around that can help you out. Style have got their own YouTube channel where they show you how to sew certain techniques, and there are also other sewing vloggers who have videos up, such as Karina from Lifting Pins and Needles, who's done 2 videos on the Stacie Jean Jacket and other Style patterns as well. So the Stacie Jean Jacket does what it says on the packet, quite literally. It is a denim jacket sewing pattern. I've got my pattern here, so you can see there that they've got an illustration of a girl wearing a denim jacket there, and they've got the line art here as well. So with this pattern, it just comes on a massive sheet, which I won't open up now, not properly anyway, but it's got all the pattern pieces on there, and I just traced off the pieces that I needed. So the Stacie Jean Jacket appealed to me because of the shaping at the waist of this. I made one from Seamwork, I can't remember the name of it, I'll put it on screen, but it was very boxy, as are a lot of other denim jacket patterns. But this one had some nice shaping, not only at the side on the waist, but also in the back. If I can show you see those line drawings, you can see, especially on the back, it sort of curves inwards on the princess seam. This pattern is designed to hit at the high hip. Now you can obviously change that as you see fit, but I was looking for quite a traditional denim jacket. So I decided that I was going to still hit it at the high hip, and I'm going to make it in designer denim, which obviously I'm wearing my jacket here so you can see the outcome of it. So I was happy to just go along with the design as is, because it is a traditional jean jacket. Stylework are one of the companies with the largest size range, and they were one of the leaders really, because they've been doing a larger size range for quite a long time. Now they go up to a size 30. I've just got my notes here. So for reference, my measurements are 48, 45, 56, and the largest pattern size is 58.25, 50.5 and 61. So I fit easily into them, and I did sew up a size 24 in their pattern. Just a side note, you won't find the measurements inside this pattern. I did have to go looking on the website. Although it's not fantastic that they're not readily available in the pattern, they are very clear on the website, so they are available to you as long as you've got an internet connection. On their website, I was really pleased to see that they offer measurements of shoulder width and arm girth, which are two areas that I do need to pinpoint on. So that was really helpful in the decision making process in terms of sizes, but I will talk a little bit more about that moving forward. So as mentioned, this jacket is designed to be made with denim, but you could also use twill or canvas, dressmaking canvas. You could go a little bit lighter as well. I wouldn't recommend going too light, because it is a jacket pattern, not a blouse or shirt pattern. So I use a denim from my supplies, I guess you'd call them. I used to run a fabric shop, and I stopped running that last year, and I had some fabrics left over, and this denim was part of that. And I made my toile up in a pink jacquard. So here is my toile that I made up. I'll put that on and show you in a minute. So as mentioned, I've got the pattern on this big sheet that came. So I ordered this from Amazon, and this is how it came, just in a cellophane packet. So it's a little bit different to a normal paper pattern that you buy, where you might get an envelope. There is no envelope, they've just printed the front on the actual pattern. And as I say, I've got all the sizes up to a size 30 inside. This sheet is absolutely massive. It's easily double the size of an A0 print off. So that made it a little bit awkward putting it on my table and folding it over, but it wasn't impossible, and it was quite nice that it's all on the same bit of paper, so I'm not losing multiple bits of paper. And while the instructions in this pattern are sparse, there's no getting away from that. On one page you've got all the instructions there, so I'll go into a bit more detail about that later on. While the instructions are fairly sparse, there is a wealth of information on the actual pattern pieces, and I do fear that some might miss out on that if they're not looking for it. So I traced off my pattern pieces. There were quite a few pieces, but it was traced off in no time at all really. And then I made up the toile, which is in this. So I'm just going to put this on now and show you. Right, so I have it on now, and I put one sleeve on, but I didn't put the other sleeve on. I'm just going to move the camera down a bit so you can get a better look. So first of all, I made the main front and the main back up without the sleeve, and I was fairly impressed with the actual with the shape in the pattern drafting, because when I made a jean jacket before, I had loads and loads of excess fabric. I don't know if you remember my Liliana, which isn't technically a jean jacket, but I did make it up in denim, and that had loads of excess here, and then so did the actual jean jacket I made by seam work, to the point where I couldn't really pull the sleeve all the way up. So this one, there is that excess fabric is not there, as you can see there. There's a little bit of gape in there, but I figured once I've got the actual sleeve on and it's in denim, that will be gone. With this, I made a straight size 24, and it only just met at the hip, so it had more room up top, but not quite so much. There's a bit of gaping there. So I decided that for my main one, I needed to go up to a size 26 at the waist, but keep a 24 up here, and that will make it more straight down here. Now, what I didn't bear in mind was that this is going to be folded over a couple of times, and so actually it isn't big enough in the main bit, and I should have added some more width there, because my actual jean jacket, which I'll show you in a bit, doesn't actually close. I wasn't actually sure at this stage whether I wanted the band on, but I did end up putting the band on. So I then put the sleeve on, and this is where my problems began. If you can see here, I've got so much excess fabric. Let me come close. At least an inch there, and loads of excess on the actual shoulder as well. But this was closed, and the arm was tight as well. So I decided to do some work on the pattern piece, and to be honest, I was flying by the seat of my pants. Didn't really know what I was doing. I was looking online for other people who may have had the same experience. Let me move back. I was looking online for other people who may have had a similar experience, and I did find someone. There's a blogger called Ladybird with 2 L's, and I found that she had a similar issue with that, and when she laid her toile on top of her jean jacket that she bought ready to wear, there was a lot more excess, and she did end up taking an inch out of the sleeve cap. I was a bit nervous about taking that much out, even though it's clearly there to take out, but with a jean jacket you need room to move, so you've got to be a little bit careful about what you take out. So what I decided to do, first off, I did a full bicep adjustment, and that, as you can see, I've opened up the sleeve there, and that's essentially what a bicep adjustment will do. It will put a bit more, it's going to put a bit more room in the actual arm, so you've got more movement, and that means all this will lay a bit differently. Now, I didn't have time to do lots of toiles, so I had to make all the changes in the same time frame. I then took out 3/4 of an inch from the sleeve cap at the top, because actually, compared to other patterns that I've made up, the sleeve head looked really quite round. Normally my sleeve heads are a bit flatter like that because of the bigger room that I need for the sleeve, but this one was really round, like something like you would see on quite a slim size pattern. So I did take out 3/4 of an inch at the top. I kept it within the 2 notches at the top so it wouldn't alter the rest of the pattern, because actually underneath it was a little snug there, but not massively so. But the excess that was at the top of the sleeve head, I could have actually done with it down there. So what I did, because I took some of the curve out of the top, that will then reduce the length of the actual sleeve head. So I dropped the actual arm side down by 1/2 inch. It says online, I think, that you've got to drop it down half the amount that you take out of the top. So I took out 3/4, so I just rounded it up and took out 1/2 inch. Not took out, but I dropped the armhole by 1/2 inch just to give me a little bit more room. Now, when I did sew this up in the denim, I did have a little bit of trouble. I had to like ease the fabric in, because the sleeve head part of the sleeve was not long enough to go into the armhole, but I was able to manipulate the fabric and it did go in the end. I started off following the instructions in the packet, but they were not the easiest to follow, if I'm honest. So let me get an example. Sew the under collar edge to the neckline following the notches, and that's literally all the information there is in the pattern for that part of the pattern. And as I showed you, there's a whole instructions on one page. Now it was at this point I referred to Karina's video and also to Style Arc's video because they did show techniques, and I had made a jean jacket before, so I had some reference of what I needed to do, and that actually came in really handy. If you have another pattern with a jean jacket but don't want to make up that jean jacket and want to make up this one, then follow the instructions from that jean jacket because it'll be much the same. So I started sewing, and on my actual jacket I'm going to change back to my other jacket because this is not exactly the height of fashion, is it? So I'm going to leave my jacket off so that I can show you. Can I just interrupt the video here to ask that if you are getting value from this video and you're enjoying it, you do hit the like button down below, as that really helps me and lets me know what sort of content you would like from me. So let's talk a little bit about the top stitching. Now, top stitching in any denim jacket is a real feature, as you know, and I wanted to go bold. I'm quite bold in my taste, as you can tell by this top, and I wanted the top stitching to be a real feature of this jacket. Now I thought that I was going to use my cover stitch machine because that gives a really even double stitch. So I wanted to use double thread because I didn't have any top stitching thread, but when I tried it I just couldn't get the machine to take it properly. So here's a test that I did. As you can see on the front, the stitches worked okay, but on the back they didn't. You can see a big knot there, and there's some gapping. There's a gap there, so I couldn't risk the stitches coming unravelled once I'd finished the jacket. So yeah, I was trying to sew with a double thread on here, but it wasn't having it. So after a couple of hours I did have to give in and decide that I was going to do single thread on my cover stitch, and that's what I did. And I think it did come out quite well. Look, there's my collar. That's the inside of the jacket, but I think it really does pop against the blue of the denim, don't you? So when I cut out the sleeve piece, the sleeve comes with an extra bit on the end which you fold under and sew, and then you can fold over into a cuff. So it's all part of the sleeve piece. So there's my actual sleeve piece, but just imagine it is all one piece. So then you'd fold it underneath and you could turn it into a cuff like that. And so it would, although I haven't sewn it down yet, so like that, and then it would mimic an actual cuff of a denim jacket. When I cut it out and when I came to stitch it, I folded it back onto itself and it didn't actually work. I will insert some footage now that will explain that better. So this is my sleeve piece, and the idea is that you fold it under and then you fold it under again, and then you sew it here and here, and when you've sewn it together it creates like a self-facing or like a cuff. So I've got a problem, as you see here. I've probably got about ½ centimetre either end, so that end and that end, where it doesn't match up. Now when I sew the side seam closed, it's not going to catch this, and that's going to prove to be a problem. Work out what I've done wrong, but I've looked at my pattern piece and worked it out. So I've done a full bust adjustment, but as you see, as it goes down, there's still space added in and it tapers down. But what's happened is at this point that folds up, as I just showed you on the actual pattern piece, it's still got some extra there, and so it's thrown the whole of the bottom piece off. And that is something that you do need to be aware of, is when you're making adjustments, think about where else in the pattern it's going to be an issue. Now it just didn't cross my mind at all until I was sewing. What I'm going to have to do is cut it off there and then create a facing, which just means tracing around this part and then sewing it, turning it up as you would with the whole piece, and then sewing it down. It just means that it will match exactly my side seams. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to cut it off at that crease, but I'm going to leave 1/4 of an inch after the crease so that I've got some room to sew. So I've put a bit of paper underneath and I'm just going to get a pencil or pen and then draw. So I've got the point there which I'll sew it, and I've just drawn a rough line up the side, and I'll do the same here. So now I need to trim that, but I'm going to add 1/4 of an inch to the bottom of this so that I've got room to sew. So I retraced it on a fresh bit of paper and it fits perfectly. So now I need to find some fabric, cut this pattern piece out. So as you can see, I have serged the edges and I've attached with pins. So now I'm going to sew a stitch across that at 1/4 of an inch. So there's my facing attached. So I'll take to the iron and iron under, and I will do a understitch to make sure it stays under, and then I'll do some top stitching on the right hand side. So as you can see, what I did was I drafted my own facing and sewed it on. This is what I've sewn on. And then I've done a line of stitching around the bottom of the actual sleeve. And then this facing gets folded into, and I can only show you this because I haven't actually stitched it down yet. I was just being lazy. I need to hand stitch this. But it goes in like that. Let me turn the coat inside out, that'll show you better. So there it is when it's folded inside, and I just need to do a hand stitch around there so that it stays there. But when I'm wearing it, it stays in anyway, so it's no big deal. But I drafted that facing and put that on like that instead of using the actual pattern piece. All's well that ended well with that, and I've got sleeve pieces that work really well. But I really liked this pattern. There were challenges within this pattern, I'm not going to lie, and it took me quite some time to finish it. I think I did it over 3 days in the end, and by the end I was getting a bit of fatigue in terms of sewing this, and I just wanted it to be finished. But that's not the pattern's fault. I was dealing with my ill health and some other things that were stopping me from being able to sew as much as I could. So I wasn't sewing all day every day, but I was doing a few hours each day. There was probably 12 hours of sewing in total. There were a few issues, as I've mentioned throughout the review, and that is the lack of instructions was the main thing. I had to go searching for the measurements as well. Although those are 2 very important things on their own, they're not enough for me to not rate this pattern, because actually pattern drafting on it is really superb. The only issue with the pattern drafting I had was the bicep, because the size of the bicep, even on the largest size 30, and I sewed a size 24, on the 30 it wasn't big enough. It was 16.5 inches across, and my actual arm is 18 inches, so I need at least 19 or 20 inches. So I did have to do that bicep adjustment. And the only other issue is on the centre front where it doesn't meet up. Oh, and by the way, I put a label in. Often, I've had these labels for a couple of years and I always forget to use them. But I thought this was an ideal project to use that. I didn't do an inside yoke in the end. There were 2 ways of doing a collar, and one is with a yoke, which Karina shows how to do on her channel, and one without a yoke, which the Style Arc team show on their channel. By the time I was doing that, I decided to go with the path of least resistance, and so I just sewed it without a yoke. And I think I did a really good job actually. And if you look at the inside of my jacket, I think it looks really neat. A good measure of whether this is a pattern worth sewing is whether I would make it again. I'm not going to make the Stacie jean jacket again because I've been there and I've done that now, and it's a really involved make. And how many jean jackets do we really need? Oh, this is already my second one. But I am definitely going to sew style art patterns. I've got 2 more patterns. One's the Amy top and the other is, I can't remember the name, but it's a woven dress, so I will be making those at some point as well, which you will see on the channel. I'm definitely not put off by the instructions, and I don't think you should be either, but just be aware that the instructions are quite limiting. Leave me a comment down below and let me know whether you've sewn a style arc and what you thought of them. Did you think they were good for pattern drafting, and how did you take the instructions? Did you have a really good experience? I'd be really interested to know that. Don't forget to head over to Laura's channel and give her video a watch and see what she's got to say about the Stacie jean jacket. I will be very interested. We did have a little bit of backwards and forwards chatting about it, so I've got some insight on what she's going to say, but I am really interested to watch the video myself. So if you like this video and you'd like to see more from me, do hit the subscription button below, hit the notification bell, and you'll be notified when my next video is released. If you like the video, do give me a like, as that really helps me on the channel. And if you can find your way to supporting me financially, I do have a Ko-fi account where you can find me at ko-fi.com/penguin and pear, where you can make a non-committal donation from as small as £3 up to whatever you see fit. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch my video today. I really do appreciate that you've given your time to me. So all it's left to say is have a lovely rest of your day. Happy sewing until we meet again. Bye for now.